Okay, and now this is something you are going to need very, very soon when we do our next task. And it's going to be a practical task, obviously, and we're talking about concentrations of liquids. Now, in particular, we're going to be talking about concentrations of solutions. More about that in a minute. But as you can see from the little GIF I've got running here at the side, we are talking about fractions and percentages. And we expect you to be able to do that because you have already done this work in your math class. Oh, let's go to the basics. Solutions are mixtures, and they're mixtures of two things. What you put in them, which is a solute, and what it goes into, which is the solvent. Now, typically in class, we're going to use water as the solvent, and the solute will change. Now, in this activity, we might be using salt, or we might be using sugar. Now, we're relying upon a solution being formed, and that means that the solvent will dissolve and then be equally dispersed throughout the solvent. Alright, the solute, so all that salt will be equally mixed through, not in one spot, but all with it. Now, as you can see, common solutions are like our salty water, or if you're having a cup of tea. The tea dissolves in the water to start with, and if you have sugar, it dissolves in the water as well. So there's some examples of a solid. The other one is, of course, is salt water, as in the ocean. All of those chemicals that dissolve as the water moves through the land and dissolves them are salts. And so that's why we call it salty water, the ocean. Sometimes you might find there are more things like detergents. People buy concentrated detergent and take home with them, and they dissolve it in water. So they make it a little bit less concentrated. More about that in a later video. And of course, we spent time talking about gases like oxygen dissolving in water to make lovely solutions that animals and plants can use. Alright. So what we've got to do is work out how much of this solute, like salt, we've dissolved in the water. And if we know that, then we can work out the actual concentration of the material in the water. Alright? So what we try to use is an electronic balance. An electronic balance accurately measures mass. How much stuff you got. Right? And it measures to 2 decimal places. So if it measures to 2 decimal places, we are talking about 1/100th of a gram. So that's pretty good. If you go on to later chemistry, you might find you actually measure to 1,000th of a gram or a milligram. And that's really, really easy to do. Alright? Now, if you are dissolving a liquid, of course, you need to know how much liquid you're adding. And that is an exact volume. And so when we're trying to do an exact volume in a lab, we always use a measuring cylinder. Now, later on, you might go to using other things which are even more accurate. Things like a pipette. But more about that a bit later again. We're going to say, though, if we're going to make a solution and we're going to show its concentration, we're going to call it concentration in percentage. Now, you've already done percentages, so you know it's out of 100. So the easiest way for us to do that is to put a mass of salt in 100 cm cubed of water. Right, and then dissolve it. So if we had, say, 2 grams of salt dissolved in 100 cm cubes of water, then Won't that be equal to 2% solution? Right, so that's how we can work out how much it is. Now, when we do the actual experiment, you'll be given a 20% or 10% solution. So then you understand what's going on.